The cornerback position is one of the most important to an NFL defense. Being able to shut down all of the elite wide receivers in the league these days is crucial to a defense being able to get off the field, force turnovers, and make plays defensively. Today we're going to be going over the top 10 corners in the 2025 NFL Draft. So we'll just go ahead and hop right into it. Starting at number 10 here, I have Jacob Parrish out of Kansas State. He's a junior, 5'9", 191 pounds. That's kind of the first thing that sticks out to you. He's a much smaller player. He lined up both on the outside and in the slot at Kansas State. They used him in kind of a versatile role. He did play predominantly outside, and you could see him kind of in that DJ Reed type of role where he's playing, off coverage and being able to use his instincts. He could theoretically do that, but I do think he should be a slot player due to his size. I also think due to his skill set, that just makes the most sense for him. 2024 had a coverage grade of 76.9, 3 pass breakups, and 1 interception. And there's a lot to like with Parrish. He is definitely somebody that moves pretty well, had a very good combine. You look at his numbers, he ran a 4.35 40-yard dash, had really good explosive scores as well. He's just not an overly big player, and that's going to kind of limit where he can line up in the NFL. That's why his size grade is so low. But movement skills, I think his change of direction is decent. When it comes to the kind of coverages that he predominantly was good at Kansas State, I think man coverage is really where he thrived. Covering guys man-to-man from the slot, he was good at dealing with two-way goes and some of those crafty route runners that they put in the slot. He's also somebody that can come up and be physical despite his size. You'll see him take on big time running backs, and he is pretty good in run support. Didn't have a ton of interceptions, things like that, but I do think Jacob Parrish can be a solid slot corner in the NFL. I think that a team will take him likely sometime in round 3 to 4. I have a round 3 grade on him, a 77.24, and you could potentially have him be your starting slot at least down the road, but maybe even from day one as well. I think he is a pretty pro-ready player. Moving next to number 9, we have Maxwell Hairston out of Kentucky. He is a junior, 5'11", 183 pounds. In 2024, he did have a little bit of a step back, had a 66.1 PFF coverage grade, 4 pass breakups, and 1 interception. If you look at his grades in 2023, at an 85.3 coverage grade, had 5 interceptions and 4 pass breakups. So definitely was more productive last year, just took a little bit of a step back, was dealing with some injuries as well, so that may play a part in it. But when you look at Maxwell Hairston, there's a lot to like. He's not the biggest guy at 5'11", 183 pounds. He's a little bit more slender. He doesn't play super physical. So if you want a true press man, bump and run type of corner, Hairston's not going to be your guy. But I do think that he is pretty instinctual. I like that. His movement ability is excellent. He ran a 4.28 40-yard dash, had some good explosiveness numbers as well. And you can see that where I think his best trait is in zone coverage, where he has his eyes on the quarterback. He keeps routes in front of him, and then he's able to diagnose the play, break in the ball quickly, and come up and make a big tackle. I think he does that really well. And there's a lot to like with Hairston, especially in a zone coverage system. If that's the kind of scheme that you're running where he keeps guys in front of him and comes down and makes plays, I think Hairston could be a really good pick for one of those teams. There are some off the field question marks with Hairston. Not going to get too far into it, but certainly look it up. I don't know if that's going to affect where he ultimately goes, but that does drop his bonus points a little bit just because of potential off-the-field character concerns. I think Hairston is a little bit of a scheme-dependent player. I don't think you should take him if you are predominantly a bump-and-run man type of scheme, but for a true zone corner, I think he can absolutely be a CB2 type player, somebody that I would feel comfortable taking in round 2. I have an 81.38 grade on him, so I do like Hairston. I think he can be a really good player within the right scheme. Moving on, we have Savone Revel at number 8 out of East Carolina, junior, 6'1", 194 pounds. In 2024, did have limited snaps, but posted an 85.4 PFF coverage grade, 2 pass breakups, and 2 interceptions. He unfortunately injured himself in practice early on in the year, so he hasn't been able to participate in the combine, or he also missed out on most of the 2024 season, only played in 3 games, but he was productive in those games. There's a lot to like with Revel. I do think that, there is some uncertainty just due to him playing at East Carolina and him missing all of the 2024 season. We don't have testing numbers on him, but I do think that he is a really interesting player. He's big at 6'1", 194 pounds. He's very physical as well. You can kind of just see him out there when he comes up and tackles. He'll hit you pretty well. In press coverage, he has the length to match guys in press. That's where I think he's best, as a press man corner. To me, his movement skills, I think he's very fast in a straight line, but I do think he's a little bit high-waisted and does have trouble changing direction, turning, kind of matching a lot of those quick hitting routes sometimes. So I do think that's an area where he can continue to improve. I also think that his instincts, he just hasn't played a ton of football, so I think those are going to come with time as well. The traits are absolutely there for him to be a really good corner. There's just a lot of uncertainty with him missing time, his level of competition, and I do think there are a little bit of some limiting factors when it comes to his movement ability, just being able to flip the hips and really truly run at times. So I have an 81.72 round 2 grade on him. He could definitely go much higher than that and prove to be a really good corner. I still like him. I just think there's a little bit of more certainty with some of the guys here in front of him. Moving on, we have Jahdae Thomas out of Florida State. He's a guy who is still incredibly young, just 20 years old. He's a true junior, so he definitely has that going for him. And he's big, 6'1", 197 pounds, at a 78.0 PFF coverage grade, 5 pass breakups, and 1 interception. Thomas is another guy who is very scheme dependent, in my opinion. I think he's one of the best press man corners in this draft. And so if you're looking for a guy like that, absolutely Thomas is going to be pretty high up on your board, I think, because there's a lot to work with when it comes to that. Has excellent size. He just looks huge on tape. He's very physical, has really long arms, big giant hands that he can use to really displace wide receivers as they're trying to get off their release. I also think that he has solid speed. That is, maybe a little bit of a concern with him. I don't think he has great, true speed, but he has enough that when he is physical with you down, the line of scrimmage, I think he absolutely can keep up with guys. And so that's going to be where he wins in true press man coverage. If that's the scheme that your team runs, somebody like the Steelers, I think, are going to be way in on Jahdae Thomas. I do think there are some things that he needs to clean up when it comes to his ball skills. Didn't have a ton of ball production at Florida State. You look this year, it was fine. 5 pass breakups, 1 interception. Had 6 pass breakups last year, no interceptions. I think he needs to be more aware of where the ball is, when it might be coming to him, getting his head around and making plays on the football. I think he can continue to get better in that regard. And then I also think one thing that he is really bad at, which is kind of surprising despite his size, is tackling. He really aims high very consistently. I think he takes bad angles at times. He's a willing run stuffer, and he'll come up, and every once in a while, he'll lay a dude out. And you'll say, why can't you do that every time? He's just very inconsistent when it comes to his tackling. I think his pad level is just way too high when he goes to make those hits. So I think that is something he just needs to clean up. He's not a zone corner. And his true movement skills, his side-to-side movement, I think he does rely on his physicality a little bit too much at times, can get a little grabby. When it comes to big, physical, young, developmental type press man corners, Jahdae Thomas definitely has a lot of the things that you look for. I have a true round 2 grade on him, an 81.72. I do think that location will be important for him. You have to be putting him in a press man system, otherwise I don't understand why you're drafting him. But as long as he goes to that system, I do think he will be a successful corner in the NFL. Moving on, at number 6, we have Trey Amos out of Ole Miss. He's a redshirt senior, so one of the older corners on this list. He's 6 foot, 195 pounds, was really productive this year in 2024, an 85.6 coverage grade, 10 pass breakups, and 3 interceptions. There's a lot to like with Amos. I think he does everything at a pretty good level. He is an older player. He originally went to Louisiana Lafayette, transferred to Alabama, where he was there for just 1 year, and then transferred to Ole Miss this year, so a 5th-year player. But there's a lot to like with Amos. I don't think he really does anything poorly. You look at his press man, he is probably the best in that. I think man coverage is really where he kind of thrives. In zone coverage, I think he, doesn't necessarily have the ridiculously good instincts and movement skills to be special in that area, which is why press man, I think, is better for him. He has very adequate size. His ball skills are obviously very good, 10 pass breakups and 3 interceptions. He was pretty consistently getting his hands on the football, making plays, has 25 pass breakups over the course of his career and 4 interceptions. So, that's something that did definitely improve a lot this year, and I think he, in general, improved a lot this year as well. So, little bit of a late breakout, which sometimes can be a concern. But I think with Amos, he was just a very, you feel good that he's going to at least be a solid corner 2 at the NFL level. I think he just does everything in a pretty good way that he can be a little bit scheme versatile. I think he is still solid enough in zone coverage that you can absolutely ask him to do that on a somewhat regular basis. I think he maybe doesn't have the highest potential of some of the other guys higher on this list, which is why I have a true round 2 grade on him. I see him more as a corner 2 at the NFL level, not some guy that's going to come in and shut down the number 1 receivers on the opposing team. So I think you let him come in, play as the corner 2, and just be a nice scheme versatile type of player that can do a lot of different things well. I think Trey Amos can absolutely fit that role really effectively and be a really nice player for you. Very battle tested in the SEC this year as well, won against some really good wide receivers. So you feel good about Trey Amos being a really solid player. Next up, a guy that I am going to be higher on, I have Darian Porter out of Iowa State. With me having Porter at number 5, I think I am going to be higher than him on most. Maybe not necessarily on my grade, but just within the cornerback rankings here, having him over, Thomas and Amos, Revel. I think he's maybe not the most popular opinion, but I really liked what I saw from the guy who just basically became a full-time starter his senior year. And I thought he showed a lot. He was originally a wide receiver. He was a special teams demon, ended up converting to corner. And this was his first year really getting the opportunity to play as a full-time starter at the corner position. This is a little bit fluky, but he allowed a 4.7 NFL passer rating against him. That's outrageously low. That's insane. Had 2 pass breakups and 3 interceptions this year. You look at his measurables, 6'2", 195 pounds, has over 33-inch arms, ran a 4.3 at the NFL Combine. This dude has traits that you look for at the corner position. Had a 90.1 PFF coverage grade. There's a lot to like in Darian Porter's profile. It was a little bit of a late breakout, but with the context of the position change, I do think that you can excuse that a little bit. He's somebody that I do think is really good in a lot of different schemes as well. I think he's scheme versatile, has good press ability with his really long arms. He can come up, be physical with you at the line of scrimmage, good at trail technique and man coverage because he has that excellent recovery speed that, even if he does get beat a little bit, he can take risks and recover still really effectively. In zone coverage, I think he is a smooth mover, even though he is, a big physical guy. I think he moves pretty smoothly side to side as well, being able to flip the hips, move horizontally as well as having that straight line speed, I think is huge. I think the instincts are still coming along because he is new to the position and he's not quite as nuanced as some of the other guys here. But I think that, with the context of the position change, once again, you can kind of excuse some of that. The tackling is something that does need to improve. It's interesting how a lot of these bigger corners, they miss high. They aren't as physical as you would want them to be. And I think if you can get that to be in a better place, Porter would be a really, really good player. The ball skills are excellent because he has the wide receiver background. I think he showed that he has really good ball skills. He's just the kind of guy that with all of the traits that he has, I'm willing to take a risk on him. I have an 83.45 grade on him. That's a high round 2 grade. So I am definitely going to be high on Darian Porter. I really, really like him and think he could potentially have the traits to be a corner 1. Most likely will be a corner 2 though in the NFL. Moving to number 4, I have Benjamin Morrison out of Notre Dame. He's a junior, 6 foot, 193 pounds. 2024 had a 68.4 PFF coverage grade, 2 pass breakups, and no interceptions, but did have his season cut significantly short. Only played in 6 games, and before having a pretty severe hip injury. That's why we have the medical cross there with him as well, because there's definitely concerns about his ability to recover with that. It's not one of those things that's just like a pretty routine serious injury like a torn ACL. There's not a ton of details on it, but it is a hip injury. I'm just going with the context that I think Benjamin Morrison, assuming he gets back to health, I think many people are really overlooking him. I don't know if it's just because of the injury or if it's concerns about his play. But to me, as a true freshman, he came out of the scene, had 6 interceptions, 2 pass breakups. The next year, 3 interceptions, 8 pass breakups. As a true sophomore, was doing it against guys like Marvin Harrison Jr., was looking really, really good in that regard. And I just think he's a really solid, big physical type of player. I think he's got excellent size, is really good in press man. He's a big physical guy at 6 foot, 193 pounds. He can absolutely line up, press you at the line of scrimmage, get wide receivers off of their release packages. I think his instincts are really good as well. You'll see him every once in a while come off his own guy's route and go make a play on the football. I think in zone coverage, he does have pretty good, smooth movement ability, and you hope that, this hip injury doesn't hurt him too much in that regard either. He has good ball skills. You can tell just as a true freshman, 6 interceptions. Sure, some of those are going to be lucky bounces, things like that, but he absolutely had a ton of ball production throughout his 3 years at Notre Dame. He does need to get much better when it comes to tackling, coming up, being physical. Just needs to wrap up more consistently. And I do think at times his side-to-side movement, ability to flip his hips and, move laterally with some of these really quick wide receivers was a little bit taken advantage of. So there is a lot to like with Benjamin Morrison. I'm not sure if it's just because of the injury and the uncertainty surrounding that, if that's why he's falling. I still have a round 1 to 2 grade on him, an 84.14. I wouldn't be surprised if, I don't think he's going in the first round. I think he will go on day 2 or maybe even day 3. He is a grabby player as well, so sometimes that physicality does come up to bite him. Where he goes in the draft, I think, will not necessarily be determinant of his level of talent and rather concern over his injury. Who knows where he ends up going because of that, but for me, just based on the pure tape, I have around 1 to 2 grade on him. It's dropped a little tiny bit for the injury concerns, but we just don't have too much information on that. So Benjamin Morrison here at number 4. And then we are moving into the top 3, all guys who I think have corner 1 potential. I have at number 3, Jahdae Barron out of Texas, redshirt senior, 5'10", 194 pounds. This year in 2024, 91.1 PFF coverage grade, 9 pass breakups, and 5 interceptions. This was his 5th year at Texas, but really the first year that he got to play full-time outside corner. Was predominantly a slot player the past 2 seasons. Also played some safety as well, so he's kind of been that versatile back-end piece for this Texas defense for the past few years. But I think he really blossomed as an outside corner this year. There's a lot to like. He's very instinctual. He absolutely in kind of a zone system, I think is where he's best, where he can keep guys in front of him, keep his eyes on the quarterback, come up and make plays. There was a little bit of concern about his long speed, but I think he absolutely answered that at the combine, running in the 4.3s. So there's a lot to like there. He's absolutely a guy that can come up and be physical. I think his time in the slot absolutely gave him some experience in doing that. Has good ball skills, was really productive, breaking up passes, getting interceptions. I do think that he's not as much of a press guy just because of his limited size a little bit. 5'10", 194 pounds. It's not bad size, but he's not this big, physical, imposing press man type of corner. I think you use him in cover 3 systems, cover 4 systems, where he can keep everything in front of him. He can come up, be instinctual, be a versatile piece on that back end. Maybe you move him into the slot. Maybe you rotate him out into cover 2 deep safety alignments because he's played that before. I think you could get a really creative defensive coordinator to use Barron really effectively. And I just think that his instincts and his ability to just kind of read and react really quickly is what makes Barron really good. To me, I don't quite have the top 10 hype on him, but I do have an 87.93, really solid round 1 grade on Barron. He's the kind of guy that I would feel more comfortable taking around, pick 15 or 20 rather than pick 10. But I do think that's ultimately where he's going to get pushed up to. I don't think he has special athleticism or special size, but I think it's good enough, and he has really good instincts as well that allows him to be a really productive player. So that's why I have Barron at number 3. Moving now to number 2, I have Will Johnson, the corner from Michigan. He's a junior, 6'1", 194 pounds. This year in 2024 did deal with some major injuries kind of throughout the year. 76.7 PFF coverage grade, 2 pass breakups, and 2 interceptions. Only ended up playing in just over 5 games for Michigan this year. But I think this is another guy who is just, I don't know whether it's prospect fatigue or people are just, looking for holes in his game. But as a true freshman, came in, had 3 interceptions, 3 pass breakups, had an excellent 88.9 PFF coverage grade. Last year was a lockdown corner, 2 pass breakups, 4 interceptions. This year was well on his way to do that as well. There are some parts of his game that I think can continue to improve, and I don't think he's this true elite prospect, but there's a lot to like. He's got great size. In zone particularly. He has great instincts. And this is kind of the interesting part about Will Johnson. With him being as big and physical as he is, he's 6'1", 194 pounds, but he just plays big. That's a big part of his game. But I also think that his best is when he is not in press man. He can do that, but when he is in off coverage and he can read the quarterback's eyes, play in that off man or off zone, being able to, come up, be instinctual, read things as they are happening, and come up and make big plays on the football. And that's really where he thrives. I think his ball skills are really good. His tackling is a little bit inconsistent at times, but I think generally speaking is pretty good. He's a very willing tackler. There's just occasional lapses of technique. But I think really his zone coverage is awesome. His instincts, he is basically Jahdae Barron, but bigger, and I think he has more ability to be a press man corner as well. That's not where he thrives, but he absolutely can do it. When it comes to his movement ability, some people question his long speed. I think that it's good, not great long speed, but I think it's good enough that you absolutely don't have any major concerns about it. To me, everybody is just way overthinking Will Johnson at this point. I have a true top 10 grade on him, a 92.07. I think he's a fantastic corner prospect, and if he does end up falling like a lot of people are projecting, I think we're going to look back at it in a few years and just be dumbfounded as to why that happened. I am not going to make that mistake. I have Johnson still as a top 10 player for me. And then at number 1, we have Travis Hunter out of Colorado, junior, 6 foot, 188 pounds. Obviously, the thing with Travis Hunter, we don't know if he's going to play corner or wide receiver or a variation of both at the NFL level. But to me, his best position is corner, and he's absolutely elite at it. I had Hunter rated as the number 1 wide receiver in my wide receivers video I did a while back, but I think that Hunter is special as a corner. His movement skills, his athleticism, his agility, his side-to-side movement, along with his true long speed is really excellent. He has the best ball skills I've ever seen for a defensive back prospect. A lot of that has to do with him playing wide receiver, but he high points the ball so effectively. He'll go up, make interceptions. His instincts in zone coverage are excellent, and I think that is where he is the best, is a zone corner where he can keep things in front of him. But he also, even despite his size, 6 foot, 188 pounds, is not huge for a corner. He is good in press man. They use him as a press man corner as well. Tackling, he can miss tackles at times. He doesn't always get involved in run supports, but you can understand that when he's playing over 100 snaps a game. But his instincts, coupled with his ball skills and his movement ability, I just think Travis Hunter will be one of the best corners in the NFL, really probably from day one, just because traits and athleticism matter so much, as do instincts. Those are basically all of the most important things in his game. I think Travis Hunter is excellent. He will likely end up as the top player on my final big board. Have a true 97.93, top 5 grade on him. I think he's excellent, and as long as he decides to play corner, I think will be one of the best in the NFL. That's going to do it for my top 10 corner ranking for the 2025 NFL Draft. Who did I miss out on? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you like more NFL Draft content just like this, we're going to be posting mock drafts, player rankings, all that good stuff coming up as we are nearing the NFL Draft coming up in April. So hit that like button down below. While you're down there, hit the subscribe button as well. Both of those just free and easy ways to support my channel. Thank you so much for watching. I will catch you in the next one.